So a video game moment or moments that made me feel really stupid was in New Horizons when I first started playing it, because me being impatient, as you guys know, just kind of wants to get through the game, wants to be able to progress, especially in Animal Crossing. I get very impatient, I skip days and all that sort of stuff. But right at the beginning, obviously you're tasked with getting the resources, so you've got stones and twigs and bits of wood and stuff like that. And at the beginning there was a lot of them that were already on the floor, so I was collecting them up and I didn't realise how to get more, so I was sort of waiting days and I'd go back and get a couple more, but it just didn't seem like there was enough for me to progress within the story, and people were already progressing so much further than me, and I was so confused. And so I finally started to actually talk to people, finally, and I think one of the residents said, "Oh, did you know that if you shake a tree, then like bits of twigs and wood and that will fall out?" I was like, no, was not aware of that, so I found that out, and then obviously finally found out about how hitting the stones basically gets you stones as well as other things, and there was like tips and tricks of like, where to stand on the stone, and just certain things I just was completely unaware of. But the major thing that really got me is, for ages I was trying to get the museum. I was trying to get Blathers to come to my island so that I could get the museum, and I had no idea what I was doing wrong. I was collecting all these different insects and stuff, and I thought the more insects and fish and stuff I collected, that somehow he would hear and he would come to the village. And I had tons of fossils. Like, I must have had about 50 fossils, and I thought, surely I should have Blathers by now. The game is indicating to me that I should have Blathers by now because I have 50 fossils, for crying out loud. And it was only when I finally went to Tom Nook and I was like, what do I do? Help me, Nook, help me. And he was like, oh yeah, so I see you've got a few like insects and fish there. Bring me a couple more and then I'll tell my friend Blathers to come on over. I was like, really? This is all I had to do? I just had to inform you of my mass of fossils and fish and insects? And then yeah, literally I went there, gave him a couple more fish. He was like, cool, I'll let Blathers know. And then the next day he was there, and well, let's just say the shock on poor Blathers' face when I handed him 50 fossils. He was like, oh! But yeah, I felt like an absolute idiot. I was like, really? This is all I had to do? Like, I was playing it for weeks, guys. Weeks! Fool.
So it doesn't take much for something to make me feel like an idiot in real life, never mind a video game. But the game that takes the biscuit and made me feel like a total fool is the original Dark Souls, when I played it back on the Xbox 360, my first time through it ever, and it just completely took the piss. So, I had heard a lot about this game, obviously it's tough but fair, very hard, it has a reputation, and I dived in, even then, even knowing its reputation, not knowing much about the actual game itself. So when I got through the Undead Asylum, I thought, fair enough, I know what I'm getting myself in for, it's going to be really difficult, I'm going to have to fight this boss over and over again, and I'm going to die a lot. But then, when you get to the Firelink Shrine and things start to open up, I thought it was just going to be more of the same. I'd be going to different areas, going through them, going to a different area, stuff like that. I didn't realise at the Firelink Shrine there were going to be a bunch of different points you could jump off of and explore. So the first avenue I found was the catacombs, filled with a bunch of deadly skeletons that just had my life, because they were way overpowered compared to the items and armor that I had and the abilities that I had then. And obviously I kept going down this little way to the catacombs, completely getting just bulldozed at every single time I tried it, but completely throwing myself at it every single time, going down with this dinky little sword, trying to knock these skeletons on the head and doing absolutely no damage, maybe killing one, and then running through and getting killed because it's just pitch black and you fall to your death and you don't know what you're doing. And I thought, right, okay, Dark Souls, it's supposed to be tough but fair. There is nothing fair about getting absolutely mauled by all of these enemies and then pitch blackness because I can't see where I'm going. And I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna be done. This game might not be for me. This is too hard. So I went back and I tried to look around the Firelink Shrine. I was like, there must be somewhere else. And I was looking around and I came to the conclusion that no, there is nowhere else you can go from that place. So I went back to the catacombs and tried for another hour. Just threw myself at it yet again. Obviously, nothing happened. Couldn't get any further. Wasn't leveling up or anything. So I eventually had to Google it. And you know what it said? It said, go back to the Firelink Shrine and go up to Undead Burg. You know that big bridge in the distance? just go there. I mean, why wouldn't you go there? The path's right there. Is it? The path's right there to send you where you need to be and have a good time. And I thought, oh, just missed this somehow. I don't know how. I'm sure I looked everywhere, but I didn't see where I was supposed to go, the main path. So that's on me. Sorry, Dark Souls, for thinking you weren't fair, because you very much were. And I'm the fool.
I feel like an idiot, you say. Well, let me spin you a tale of the first time I finished the original The Last of Us, the first Last of Us. Now, Last of Us is one of my favourite games, one of the greatest achievements in, digital artistry that you could ever come across. But the first time I finished that game, the first time when you do the whole, the big thing at the end, you're playing as Joel, and you go get Ellie back, and you kill the surgeons, and don't worry, baby girl got you, and whatever else. As soon as you get back out of gameplay and you get that cutscene where all of a sudden Joel is driving, and he's, Ellie's in the back seat, and he's explaining that, look, the Fireflies, you weren't going to be able to be cured, and the Firefly was all a lie, and that's why I had to bust you out. I, in a moment of sheer idiocy, good, thought that I missed something, thought that I missed a collectible, thought that I missed something in the game that made all of that make sense. And I just watched that whole final thing play out, going like, oh, I don't know what's going on, because clearly I've missed a trigger somewhere, some sort of plot thing, some story-based thing. And I just sat there feeling like a moron. And so it was only after that I Googled it, and it was like, oh no, that's entirely the case. Joel is lying. He's lying to the player. He's lying to Ellie. And I was like, oh God. And that's what brings it all full circle. And you realize, oh, that is a bit of a villainous turn, to be honest. Joel picking Ellie over the entire human race. And I got a second wave of the impact I was supposed to get during the scene itself. But yeah, a bit of a delayed reaction, just full on moron. Just didn't know. But that's just my gamer brain. That was just me thinking, I'm supposed to comb this entire environment and find something. And in the mad scramble to save Ellie, I clearly missed something. When no, that was the whole point. Joel being a big old biggest dickus is just, it's there regardless of whether you get it in the cutscene or Google it later. So, good.
Right, okay, so if we're talking about video game moments that made me feel like an idiot, I can't really think of a specific moment in a story, like a revelation or anything, or even just a multiplayer encounter that made me feel like a real dummy. However, there is one thing that I'm particularly terrible at in every single-player video game, and that is my uncanny ability to get lost all the time, even when it should be impossible. So, like, obviously 20 years ago, getting lost in a video game was kind of like, it was bound to happen, it was an inevitability. Like, you would go around in X-Men Legends 1, for instance, and you'd get on the Morlock level, which is the worst level in the entire game, and so me and my cousin would always get lost on. And it was really difficult as well, because the enemies were really hard, but you just get lost in the sewers, and like, I think ever since that experience, I just carry it with me, because I get lost in every single video game, and then I'll be there wandering around for like 5-10 minutes, and then literally, I'll realise where I was meant to go, and I'll just stare at the screen for like another minute and a half, just like, how did I not know where to go? So getting lost in video games really does my head in, and I don't want to look up a playthrough either, because I'm like, I know it's easy, I should know where I'm going, and it would be easy enough to go on YouTube and just type in the bit that I'm at in the video game and see where the person who is playing goes. But I know, because I'm a dummy and I'm being a dummy, that I shouldn't be doing that. So I just spend more time, and then I feel like I'm dumb for not having looked at the walkthrough to help me out to see where I'm meant to be going. And also because it should be really obvious where I'm meant to be going anyway. So yeah, video game moment that made me feel like an idiot. It's getting lost all the time. I just have a terrible sense of direction in games all the time. Terrible. Do not let me guide you in a co-op game, because I will get lost. Always. Oh, there we go.